Hey everyone, Steve here with Phantom History. Thanks so much for checking us out on YouTube, and if you enjoy our content, make sure you subscribe. Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Phantom History. Steve here sitting in our potion room here at the Bed and Breakfast, and I'm really excited to talk to Steph O'Reilly, who is the owner and operator of the Mcinteer Villa in Kansas. Steph, thanks so much for joining me today.
Hi, thank you.
Now, I did say that right. Mcinteer is how you say it, right?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say yes. That's what I call it. I'm a Mcinteer. I'm probably saying it wrong, but then that means you are too. So we're good.
So we're on the same. Tell me a little bit about yourself and what the Mcinteer Villa is.
Well, basically, I have my real estate license, so I do that on the side, and I own the Mcinteer Villa. And I bought it January 18th will be 7 years. My dad co-signed without even seeing it. He passed away April 2020, and so his ashes are at the villa. And every time I walk by, I tap on the glass. I go, "Dad, stir stuff up." um, and so, so that's how I got the villa. Is he co-signed just without even seeing it? Just the kindest person, and or the dumbest, I don't know. But love you, Dad. And so anyway, that's how long I've had it. Almost 7 years. I bought it just for ghost hunting. It's a gorgeous house. It's a huge house. We've had weddings there. People have had just get-togethers there, family things. So it's not just for paranormal, but that's what 99% of it is.
Well, and I looked at your website and some of the pictures on Google, and it's a beautiful, like Victorian mansion, is what it looks like.
Yes,
What's the
yes.
story behind this place, and how old is it?
It was built in 1889 for John Mcinteer. He was a saddle and harness maker. He was from Ireland. And so when he moved to Atchison, he had his own saddle and harness business. And he was also into real estate. He was one of the wealthiest men in Kansas. He was not, where the house is situated or located in Atchison is not, I'm not good with north, south, east, or west, so I'm not going to use those. But on the rich side of town. And so because he was from Ireland and he was discriminated against, so he had his house built on the hill. It's not really a hill, but it's a hill. And there's stained glass all around it. His name is etched in, it looks like the back of the house, but when the house was built, it was actually the side of the house. And it says Mcinteer Villa etched in the stone as an FU. It faces the rich people, and he wasn't allowed to build his house over there because they discriminated against it. It was built in 1 year for $14,000. The architect, his name was W. Angelo Powell. He also helped design the Washington Monument and the Capitol building and the funeral car for Zachary Taylor. He was pretty famous in St. Joseph, Missouri, which is about 35, 40 minutes away from Atchison. And that's where he died. But he did build or design the Mcinteer and some other, I think, pretty well-known buildings in St. Joe. So it's 100, I want to say, well, whatever, 1889. It was really finished in 1890. It was a boarding house for 27 years. We've had, that I know of so far, 9 documented deaths. One was a suicide. It's so hard to explain the house. I can tell you who's passed away in the house. I can tell you what the house was used for, but who all is there? There are so many spirits that I'm not good at telling the story of like who's there because I don't know who's there. That's a
Well, and
lot.
that's one of the challenges of anything paranormal is you have, well, in my experience, you have who is there, and then you have those who are visiting there, and it's not always the same group, And I'm curious, is Mcinteer, his family, was he there a very long time, and how many owners has this place had?
Well, every owner that's lived there has died there. I don't live there.
Good.
But it was a private residence the entire time, except for the 27 years, 1925 to 1952. It was a boarding house. And only one person died. A 4-day-old infant passed away when it was a boarding house. If there were any other accidents or deaths, unless they wrote about it in the paper, I don't know what took place. So the Mcinteers, when he first came over from Ireland, he was in Philadelphia. And that's where he learned his trade. Then he got married in Ohio and moved to Atchison in 1860, I believe, and opened up his saddle and harness business in 1860 or 1861. The house that he did live in, I can't find a picture of it, but I did hear that it was a pretty good size house. I'm still trying to find a picture of Mr. Mcinteer also, but he lived in Atchison from 1860. The house was built in 1889. So he lived there for a while. And then when he had the house built, it was built in 1 year. It's a crazy when you walk in and you think there is no way that house could be built in 1 year, at least today. I mean, the detail, the woodwork, and like the basement alone has 7 rooms.
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Well,
It's a crazy big house.
how many stories does this building have?
4. Well, has the basement with 7 rooms. It has the main floor, the second floor, which I find the most uncomfortable, and then the attic. And every floor it's not like the attic is like half the size. It's the entire size of the house. The basement is the entire size of the house, just divided into rooms. It's the same, I don't say layout is the right word, but from the basement all the way to the tower, it's the same. If I'm in the basement, I know what is right above us. And then right above that, like the bay window would be on the second floor. Right below in the piano room is a bay window. In the basement, it looks like it would be a bay window, even though it's just brick in a semicircle.
So it's
So
like
it's the same layout all the way.
Same
Do what?
footprint all the way.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So that, I mean, and people say they get turned around, and I get that. It's just a big circle, basically, but lots and lots of rooms.
Well, and you said, when we first started talking that, you knew right away that it had spirits and it was haunted. And it sounds like you were looking for a place that had that spiritual activity. So tell me a little bit about that and why did you want a place like that?
Well, I always just joked that I'd love to buy a haunted house because I just thought those people are raking it in, to be honest. No. But when I saw this house, there was just something about it. And I tell people all the time, I'm not obsessed with anything, like, which is sad, but nothing. But there was something about this house that I live a little over an hour away. I would get in my car. I would just go drive by it. I would look it up. There was just something that was drawing me to this house. And, I went on a cruise with my brother and his wife, and I'm looking it up. I'm like, just look at this thing. And I don't ask for help or anything. So when I asked my mom as a joke, do you want to co-sign him? And she said no. I mean, I just knew that, of course, she would say no. So she called my dad and took him 2 seconds. But so there must have been something about it for him too, I guess. I don't know. People tell me, like, look into it. Maybe there's a family history. Maybe something is connected. I don't know. I don't know how to do all that stuff. So, but that would be kind of interesting if there were. I mean, like I said, there was just something that drew me into it. I've never thought I'd buy a haunted house, just joked around about it. So it wasn't like a dream. It just happened.
and you keep calling it a haunted house. Did you know that it had hauntings before you bought it? And how did you know?
Yes, I did. It was when it was for sale. It's actually Atchison, Kansas used to use the house as their, on the billboards for their haunted Atchison trolley tours. Because Atchison is known as being the most haunted town in Kansas. And they would use the house as the backdrop for haunted Atchison, the trolley tours. It was the first stop on their haunted trolley tour, so it was already known for being haunted. So that was good. Otherwise, I don't think my dad would probably co-sign. But so yeah, it was already known. They didn't have overnight events, but they did have events, and it happened to be around September, October when I was looking at the house, and they happened to have an event. So I bought a ticket and went in and just had a great time. And I thought, this is it. This is it. And so that's how I saw that. Because I wasn't in the market to buy a house, and you couldn't get in unless you had a pre-approval letter, which I didn't. And so that's the only way I could get in, and I did, and it was, I guess, meant to be.
It was everything you wanted it to be. And
Yeah.
so I know a lot of times, you take these haunted tours, and while they're very, very interesting, it's very rare that on a haunted tour something paranormal happens. I mean, it does happen, but not very often. When was your first paranormal encounter in the house? Did something happen on that tour, or was it later for you?
Nothing really happened on that tour. Yeah, nothing happened on that tour. It was mostly my husband at the time. He was standing back talking to the owners because they would stay during the events, and he was just getting information on the house, and I was doing the ghost hunt. And like I said, nothing really happened. Now, when I give tours, it's not because of me. I'm not saying like when I give tours, things happen. But I mean, it is kind of funny. People ask me all the time if it's more active during the day or at night. I personally think it's during the day because you're not expecting it. And you just, at nighttime, you're waiting for it. Waiting for it. So when people check in and I will meet them there at 3 o'clock, I give them a tour if they've not been there before. And sometimes people don't want a tour because they want to use their abilities and see what goes on. But when I give a tour, it's kind of funny because I know when something is happening, like the breathy in your ear, that it makes me feel like the owner's hyping stuff up. You know, if I'm walking through and I hear like, get out or hi or something, I'm like, did you guys hear that? And not everyone hears it. And there was this couple, I was giving them the tour and they were about to, I was about to leave. And the first, I want to say first 10, 15 minutes, I kept saying, did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that? And they didn't hear it. So I thought, just be quiet. Don't say anything else. So we're standing in the kitchen and I'm about to go and something says, get out. And the guy goes, I heard that. And I go, bye-bye. So that's during the day, it just kind of, I don't say it's hit or miss, but I'm not really looking for it. So that's why, to me, it creeps me out a lot more during the day than at nighttime.
Well, yeah, to your point, people expect spooky stuff to happen at nighttime. During the day, we have this false sense of security because the sun's out.
Yes,
But spirits can do whatever they want whenever they want.
exactly. That's exactly what I say. I go, they do what they want, when they want, how they want.
Now,
Yep.
you've spent some time in the house by yourself, I'm assuming. How has
Yep.
that been for you? Has anything strange happened to you then?
Yes. It's funny because I have security cameras all around the house on the inside. Um, and it makes me look creepy because there are a lot of them, but they capture, I tell people all the time, and I mean it when I say it, I don't watch the cameras, but they all, that's where most of the stuff happens is through my cameras and I can post it. So when I'm by myself and things happen, I, well, on my Instagram page and my Facebook page, there are some videos. I'm standing in the dining room and something just whistles so loud. And I'm just, what was that? So they mess with me when I'm by myself. I can hear the knockings or the walking. I don't go on the second floor when I'm spending the night alone. I will go, if there's one other person in the house, I don't go anywhere. It takes a lot to scare me when it comes to ghost hunting. But something about being alone in the house, I refuse to go on that second floor in the middle of the night when no one else is there. It's not comfortable.
So
And I don't know if it's because of me. Some people think they don't like me there. Some people think they love me there. One girl, and I love her so much, she said, I don't know if they like you or hate you, but they react to you. And that's probably the best way to describe it. Because I mean, I don't know. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I get it. But
well,
the very first night I spent the night there, we experienced something.
really, what was
Yeah.
that like? What did you experience?
Well, I didn't know what room was the most active. And I know now that I have a place that it doesn't matter what room is most active. They can go where they want to go. So I just put an air mattress in what I have as the primary bedroom now because there was no furniture in the house. So I put an air mattress out and I could hear the door handle jiggling. And then I heard footsteps by my head. And I was like, oh my God, it's next to my head. And my husband at the time, he said, isn't this what you wanted? And I'm like, oh yeah, it is. It was just, I mean, he would grab his gun and run around the house like someone's in this house. I'm like, there's no one in this house. So that's another reason the second floor freaks me out is because my brain goes to it's a person. That's probably why, because the basement does kind of look like Silence of the Lambs, like you're not going to make it out. But I'd rather be down there by myself, and I have been by myself. But second floor, no thanks.
So the second floor is where all the bedrooms are, am I right?
Correct. Yeah, there's one on the main floor, but it's just locked off to people right now. I'm going to open it up. But the room that's locked off, I have it as my room. So when I spend the night, I can have my stuff in there. But it's what used to be the kitchen. And there's another bathroom in there. It's just really active. And I'm not going to stay in that room. No thanks. So I stay in what I call the TV room. And I just close both doors, turn off all the lights, and wear headphones. And I don't want to hear or see anything.
Yeah. Well, as your former husband said, isn't this what you wanted?
Yeah, exactly. When other people are there.
When other people are there.
Yes,
So
when other people are there.
earlier on that there's a lot of activity there, and knowing who they were in life is a challenge, of course. Is the original owner there? Do you know? Do you know who any of these spirits might be?
Well, the suicide was Charles Donovan, and people do believe that he is still there. And the reason I say I don't know who's there, I've gotten the name Charles Donovan first and last on a recording. I've gotten the name Charles. I've gotten John, who was John McInteer. I've gotten different names, but there's also something there, or many somethings there that mimic people. I've heard me talking, and it's not me. So I've heard. I mean, it's just. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say it like that, because then people think, well, maybe John isn't here, but maybe John isn't there. I mean, It's so weird to me that somebody can mimic that. I mean, just the other day Dustin Perry from Ghost Hunters was at the house on Saturday, and he was talking to the group, and there are 3 or 4 of us girls just standing kind of back, and someone in the kitchen yelled Steph, and I turned around and and nobody said Steph, and we were like, we heard it, and nobody said it, but 3 or 4 of us heard it. So it's just so, that's what it's the most uncomfortable, or it's very interactive, very interactive. So with the cameras around the house, there was one evening, there was a lady there, and she heard some taps on one of the pocket doors, and I checked the camera because I didn't hear the taps, and she tried to mimic them, and she says, yep, that's it. And then something responds, that's not it. And then it goes on to say, not it, idiot, which is kind of funny. But that's how interactive it is. It's just, I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of uncomfortable because it's kind of like a stalker, like just there, you don't see. There was one evening I had a girls' night, and I asked, are you happy we're in here? And the response was, no, I'm not, stupid, dumb, B word. And evil kind of laughed, but we didn't hear it. I haven't apologized, saying, I'm sorry, it's a quiet evening. I can't schedule an appearance, maybe next time. But then the next day, somebody asked me to check my camera, and that's how we heard that.
So it's almost like you're getting EVPs on your security camera.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Now, I don't listen to the cameras, and I don't have notifications set up. It's only when someone asks me, can you check the room, like the kids' room at 8:55, and then I'll do it. Not too long ago, I want to say it was less than 2 weeks ago, there was a group there, and I checked the camera for them in the doll room or kids' room. And the lady's husband walked in front of my Raggedy Ann and Andy doll and said, oh, look, Ann and Andy. And then something said Raggedy Ann. And he didn't hear it, but they corrected him. And I'm like, and just, it's so interactive like that, but you don't realize that unless you have access to my cameras. So that's why I tell people, for any reason, let me check the camera for you. Just give me a time and a date, and a room, and I can do it.
Well, I'm assuming if paranormal investigators come in there, they bring in their own equipment and cameras and stuff too,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
So I'm sure they have to.
They do. And I show them, well, they can all see where mine are because they're all out in the open, not hidden. And then they can place theirs in other areas that mine aren't, so that they can have even extra. There were some ladies at the house that heard knockings on the 2nd floor. And so I got on the camera to hear the knocking. But then there was a shadow thing on the floor that went down the hallway and went up the wall that we didn't see until I got on the camera to check their knocks. So it's just, and now, I mean, that, and it looks like a crab just kind of going up it's really creepy. But I tell people, for any reason, even if it's something silly. I heard a high pitch, just like, that was a horrible example, but it was a high pitch something. And I got on the camera, and it was a little kid saying, I'm a puppy. So it's just, I can't explain the house, but yet there's so much that goes on in the house.
And you said early on that every owner of the house had either a death there or had died in it. I can't remember how you phrased it.
Every owner that's lived there has died there. Yep.
Okay. So was this Charles Donovan, was he one of the former owners?
He was not one of the owners. No, he was the owner's son. So the first death was Alice McInteer. She was his first wife, and she only lived there for a year. Then John McInteer married Anna, and Anna's mother passed away in 1898, and her name was Anna. Then we have John, who died in 1902. Anna, the wife, died in 1916. Her son took his life in 1922. A 4-day-old infant in 1928. Goldie in 1969. And actually, her death is this weekend, the death anniversary. Mrs. Girardi in 2014 and Mr. Girardi 2006.
So going back to, I think you said the name Goldie.
Mhm.
We're doing this interview. It's right before Christmas. So what happened there? Was it an older person who just finally expired, or was it something more tragic?
I'm not sure what she died from, but actually last week there were 2 deaths. So this time of year is, I think, the most active. The first Mrs. Mcinteer died December 11th. The second Mrs. Mcinteer died December the 9th. Goldie died December 21st. She had actually, I think she knew she was dying. She approached Mr. and Mrs. Girardi in 1969 and asked if they would buy the house from her. She had one living relative and she didn't want him to have it. So they bought the house from her. 3 months into their renovations, the lady across the street hadn't seen Goldie for a few days. So she called the police, and the police called Mr. Girardi. And since he owned the house, he came in with the lady across the street, and they found her dead in the rocking chair. They said her hand was on a pistol. She did not kill herself. She was 75. It, my opinion or my thought on that is, there's a building across the street that's a daycare center. It used to be an elementary school. There are lots of articles of kids breaking her windows and being arrested, kids calling her a witch. Just, I don't think kids being kids. I think they were mean. And so she was probably, I think, protecting herself from whatever goes on inside the house. She also had that going on outside. So I think that's why she had a pistol next to her, not for any other reason, but probably protection. So I'm assuming she knew she was dying since she asked someone to buy the house from her. I believe all the deaths were of natural causes except for the Charles Donovan, who was in World War I, contracted the Spanish flu. October 10th, 1922, the paper said he never got over his symptoms from when he was in the war in France. He was never in battle, just went straight to the hospital. Shot himself in the right temple, and it lodged in the left side of his brain for 2 hours, and then he died. I don't know what room was his. I just kind of guess, but I don't, unless I have documentation, I make sure to not, I'll say like, this might have happened, or people feel this might have happened, or this or that. But unless I can prove it, I don't say it happened, if that
Well,
makes
that's
sense.
one of the most rewarding things about all this is when you can put a physical document to a story that you've heard and make it make sense and connect them, which will happen
Yes.
over time, obviously.
Yes.
But that's a long lifespan of the house to cover a lot of history. And not only were these people in there, I'm sure they had guests, they had events, so there's probably a lot of that energy in there too.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And whatever was on the land before. Um, a lot of people, and I'm sure it was Native American land. It's so, I mean, there's that also, just plus the Missouri River and the basement is limestone. It's just a lot of all the makings of a good haunted house.
Well, and I wanted to talk about the basement again because earlier you described it as kind of like the Silence of the Lambs basement, which we all remember is dirt floors and the weird brick or stone walls. But you said there's 7 rooms. So what was
Yep.
that space used for? And tell me a little bit more about it.
I don't know what it was used for. I assume they used every inch of it when it was a boarding house. Um, I don't know why Mr. McInteer and his first wife would have such a big house. Just there were just 2 of them. Um, it could be an ego thing. I don't know. I mean, his name is etched into it, but it could just be. I mean, I don't know. But 7 rooms does seem like a lot, but it's also a big house, so maybe it's for structural. Is that right? I don't even know if I'm saying it right. But I don't know. I would just think it would be just like, I've never seen a basement with that many rooms. It's the original brick floor. Some of the rooms are brick floors that are original, some are dirt floor. The walls are all brick. There's one door that's still original. The front panel has been redone, but the back of the door is original. And it's just so weird that when I close the door, out of the 7 rooms, I close that one door and it just looks completely different. Like I posted a picture a few years after I had the house, and I'm like, what is behind this door is probably the creepiest 2 rooms in the house, which is true. Behind that door, the 2 creepiest rooms in the basement are back there. A rock got thrown at me a few months ago. So when I closed the door and posted it, people are like, even my own friends, they're like, "Are you hiding a room from us?" Like, no, it just looks different because the door is closed.
Right.
But There's something like my friend Tori was over and we were in the basement. There were only girls at the house. We could hear there was a man talking above us and then heavy boots just walking. And my cameras didn't pick it up, but Tori's cell phone, I think maybe her video recorder or recorder picked it up. I don't know, but she picked up a man talking and the boots. The floor or the ceiling is the floor upstairs, so it's very easy to hear when someone's talking or walking. A few months ago, I was spending the night by myself and I walked into the basement, and the room that's furthest to the back, I call it two curtain room because there are two curtains in there. And the curtains were open, and which is not a big deal. But I looked over and I go, who does that? Because it's gross behind those curtains because I didn't clean them. So that's why I said it. But then something mimics me and says, who does that? And then throws a rock. And that's on my Instagram page. That night I did leave. Because normally somebody had commented, if they can throw a rock, they can throw a knife. And I'm like, and I'm out. So that night I did leave.
So did the rock like hit you? Was it over
No,
the side? What happened there?
I didn't even see it. It sounded more like a pebble. So it's not, I mean, I make it sound like a big boulder came at me. But it was just like a pebble. And I just heard it. I didn't see it. But what's funny is I told a lady that story, and she was standing in the same spot that it threw a rock, and something threw a pebble and it hit her. And I'm like, you're welcome. But it's just so funny that, and also a little uncomfortable that it's just interactive like that. They'll say happy birthday. They tell me a lot to be quiet, sit down, stop talking, shut the F up. But they're still very friendly to me. I just know they love me.
They say it's an endearing shut the F up.
It is. And I'm like, oh, stop.
Well, the fact that you have such a great attitude towards all this is amazing. And I think, what you put out is what you get. And you put out all this very positive energy I can feel from you. So I'm sure that helps there as well. When you have somebody come into the house, and we kind of run into that here too, people don't always know what to expect. They're like, I'm expecting this drab, terrifying looking place. And like here, they're like, oh, this is actually nice. And I like it. We're different than what you do. You have an actual historic home. After you give the tour, how are people usually reacting to the house? Are they kind of like more comfortable? Are they more excited? What's the vibe you usually get?
I think that at first they're kind of nervous that no one said this. It's just my opinion because there are lots of, the entire house is covered in antiques. And so I think they're scared to touch things or sit on things and breathe near things. But I tell people, I want everyone to feel at home. It's your home until tomorrow or however long they book. I want people to sit on anything. I supply sodas, tons of coffee, bottled water. I tell people, sit on anything, sit on Goldie's rocking chair. I just want people to so I think that eases their mind. There was a lady who called me up once and she's like, I think you jinxed us when you said it's okay to break things. I'm like, never said that. But I understand things happen. Life happens, accidents happen. But so I want people to feel at home. And then I tell people the creepiest stories. But then I think after I leave, I'm like, they probably are going to want all of that to happen tonight. Or, and the stories I tell it's 7 years worth of stories. It's, now, don't get me wrong. There are nights where it is insane, nonstop, like what the heck is happening? And then there are nights where like, well, let's try again. Just like any other place. So, when people come into other places like, oh, nothing happened or what, I mean, it's go back. I'm the person that if you show me something crazy at your place, I'm not going to debunk it. I want to go see it too. So, I mean, yeah, yes. And so that to me is, I used to get my feelings hurt when people would come in and they're like, nothing happened or, and I have my little pep talks with the house. I'm like, come on now, don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass me today.
Give me something tonight for this group. So you said, you have like 7 years in this house, all these stories. If you were to say, like, what is one of the creepiest thing that has happened to some of your guests or an experience there, what would float to the top?
Oh my goodness. There are just so many. I think for me, it's the voices. For me, it's the full-on conversations people hear. Because that to me is my brain goes to, there's someone in this house. Oh gosh, not too long ago, it's funny. There was a group that just bolted at like 2 something in the morning. To me, those are funny because I mean, I would too, don't get me wrong. But it's a little like, yes. So I mean, things like that. It One group left because the cat ball went off. One group, yeah, yeah. When they freaked out when a cat ball went off during a tour, I knew they weren't going to last anyway. But but then there was, a group that like not much happened. But then they'll tell me a list of crazy stuff that happened, but that wasn't much to them. But then someone can hear footsteps and go, "Oh my God, it was a crazy night." So, but for me personally, it's when I hear the full on conversations and I'm by myself and you just actually the best way to describe it is I tell people it's like your little brother going, "I'm not touching you," and his fingers like an inch from your face, and it just feels like you're in their space or they're in your space, and you just know it's time to go home.
Yeah.
That to me, like I said, I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and I get it. So when I go there, maybe it's just not a day for them. I mean, I'm gonna be there tonight, so let's.
I'm curious about, you talked about how the house is full of antiques and things. So I'm assuming when you acquired the home, all that came with it. No. So you
Nothing came
acquired,
with it.
okay.
I brought it. I brought it all in. Yep, except for Goldie's rocking chair. There are a few pieces. There's a couch and love seats, coffee table, and an old kitchen Hoosier in the attic. Other than that, I brought everything in. Had the walls painted, the carpet ripped up. And actually, if people get on Zillow and they can type in 1301 Kansas Avenue in Atchison, they can see what it looked like when I bought it. I didn't do anything constructually to the house, just had the carpets ripped up, had the floors, most of the floors finished. Well, the second floor has been finished. The main floor has not. But all I've done is vacuum it. And it's just so, it looks so different just having the walls painted and bringing in different furniture. But Facebook Marketplace is where most of it's from. The chandeliers, the bigger items, um, estate sales, things like that. So yeah, nothing came with the house, but Goldie's rocking chair, that was a must. That had to stay.
Well, and one of the reasons I asked that is, the same thing here. We have antiques here that we brought in, and we've been told, those can have attachments of their own. So it may not be necessarily attached to your house, but they could be in the thing that's in the house.
Yes. Yeah. And it's so crazy to me because I bring creepy dolls in, creepy items in or whatever, because I like creepy things. Like one of the dolls, and I named her Esmeralda. She's in a case in the kids' room, and she's got human hair, and she is the one that called me a stupid dumb B word. But I don't even know if something is attached to Esmeralda. I don't even know if its name is Esmeralda. Well, it's not because I just came up with that one. But it's I don't want to put her in a case. I want people to like be able to play with her, but also people will play with her. And I really enjoy having her. So anyway, it's things like that. There was a note on it that said late 1800s marionette, human hair, possibly haunted. I drove to Arkansas the next day and got her. I didn't get her because possibly haunted. I got her because human hair. I mean, hello. So there are creepy dolls that I have, but only because there's something that I found creepy about them, not because somebody says there's an attachment.
Yeah.
Like there's an amazing grandfather clock in the dining room, and I don't have it wound up, but it will chime every once in a while. And it could be us walking by it, or I could just be sitting there at the table and you hear a chime. But people have said, or actually one girl a few years ago said, she looked in the clock and she's like, "Hello, who's in there?" And I'm like, "You're silly." But but then you know what? You never know. You just never. If I come back as a clock, I'm gonna be pissed.
All things. I'm curious, not necessarily about the house, but about you in general. Are you a paranormal investigator? Have you always liked the paranormal stuff? And did you see stuff when you were a kid that got you into this?
I didn't. That's another funny story that people will ask. Most people that I have met, they had an experience as a kid or saw something, felt something. But no, I went to the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, and I stayed on the third floor, and I heard what I thought was room service. And I was like, "Who ordered room service at this hour?" And it was like 3 a.m. And then the next day I took the ghost tour with all these other crazies. And because I never thought anything about ghosts, I didn't think they did or did not exist. It never crossed my mind. And so I took the ghost tour, and they talked about a squeaky wheeled gurney being pushed down the hallway between 3 and 4 in the morning on the third floor. And I'm like, what? That's what got me into ghost hunting. Something I can't wrap my brain around. And so I've gone, I've gone all over. So I do love, I don't, not to say I don't take it seriously, but I get the best stuff just being goofballs with my friends, just hanging out, talking. It's like, and at least at the villa also, just most of the things I can't even post because girls are gross and we talk about inappropriate things. And that's when they kind of chime in and you hear the things. And one time a cabinet opened wide up, and it's never done it before. It's not done it since, but I can't post it because I'm not wearing pants. You know, it's just things like, it's like they know. They're so I'm glad I said that one. It's so
Not what I said.
Let's just didn't expect.
Caught me off guard, which does not happen often. So, wow.
Not normally how I give my tours, but I'm just
So that's an upcharge, right?
that's right.
So this was a cabinet in the villa that opened by itself.
Yes.
Okay. So where were you? Like in the kitchen area, or what cabinet are we talking
No,
about?
I was I'm running around. It's the day before my birthday. I'm going to Indiana to go to the Monroe House. And I'm late, and I'm just running all through that villa. And I went into the library bathroom. It's on the second floor. I guess it's during the day, I'm fine, but I'm running around. And so I go into that bathroom and I get something out of the cabinet, come back, go back in there to get something, and I see the cabinet's wide open. And I know it wasn't open because you can't get past it to get to the cabinets. And so I'm like, well, I'm getting on the camera. I'm posting this. This is crazy. But all I'm wearing is a t-shirt and an angry face because I'm late. My friend was like, you can probably say those are leggings. I'm like, not a chance in hell. No. So people just have to trust me.
Yeah.
The creepiest, and I think it got shared the most. It's a longer video than I like to post, but it's on my Instagram page. There's a picture or a video of a skeleton, and that's all you'll see in the front is a skeleton. He's just sitting there. I put googly eyes in him because I get bored, and I put a little party hat on him because I get bored. And they were up there for like 3 years in the attic. I tell people, no, like I said, the attic is huge. There's one little section in the attic that I find the most active, and it's just the smallest side of the attic. And so I put a little camera back there, just my little personal camera, and I said, okay, now do something, because I wanted to prove to people that's the most active part of the attic. Nothing happened. So I turned it around and I said, fine, now you're not on camera, now do something. And then I left. And then I get, since it's my little Wise camera, I got notification that there was motion. And the skeleton had turned its head so slowly. One eye came out. Now, granted, they're googly eyes. They're not popped in there. But one eye comes out, keeps turning its head. The other eye comes out, the hat falls off, and it's just looking right at the camera. And skeletons move. That's not a big deal. But the way it moved is probably the most creepy thing I've ever seen in that house. There's a full body shadow man captured with glowing eyes that doesn't creep me out as much as that skeleton turning his head. And that was actually on the Travel Channel on Paranormal Caught on Camera. Full body glowing eyes man standing in the hallway right outside the library door. Now that's why I don't like the second floor.
That is terrifying.
Oh, it's terrible. Lots of shadows being captured on that second floor. Full body shadows. But that's also where that crab looking thing went down the hallway and up the wall.
Sounds like that's definitely the dark floor of all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. So to have, that national attention is amazing, on this place that you own and run, which, congrats on that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
But it says a lot that, it's not just you, all these people are having these experiences and seeing these things.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't say how to word this. I don't brag about the villa, and that sounds like I don't even bring up the villa because I don't hear look at me. But my friends do, and it's so funny that we'll be out somewhere, and my friend Melissa's like, "Have you heard of the Mcinteer?" And I'm like, "Stop it!" But when USA Today contacted me a few months ago, and there was a voting, and I was number 3, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" It was crazy. Out of all these amazing people or locations, everything's been word of mouth is my whole point. Is that to me is like, that means so much because when I've had TV shows call, I've not been picked, but I don't think I'm telling the story of the house correctly. But everybody who's heard of the house, let's say TV land or bigger, it's all been word of mouth. And that's been the kindest thing I think I've experienced. It's a small, big paranormal world, and I have met the best people through this.
Yeah, and I can totally agree with you that with you on that. It is a very small, big world. And everybody has been very kind to us too as we kind of navigate this as well. And one of my final questions for you is about, of course, the McIntyre Villa itself. What is your overall plan with it? Are you living the plan? Are there goals moving forward? Are you also planning to die there? What is your plan here?
My plan, honestly, I don't have a plan. I just love it so much. I don't know. It doesn't get old. It does and nothing gets old to me. People say, don't the footsteps, those are footsteps. No, they don't. They excite me every time. Every time. It just For years, people have told me they've heard they thought it sounded like a rolling ball going down the second floor. They'll be on the main floor and you hear what sounds like a bowling ball. So last week I was sleeping in the library on the second floor. I had some friends across the hall in the primary room. And I went in the hallway to do something and I heard somebody walking up the main staircase. I ran into the library because I'm apparently a chicken. And then something jiggled the handle just really fast, but it sounded like a bowling ball. So I think that's what people are hearing, just the door handle to the room that I think that Charles took his life. And it was just going like, that sounds weird.
Wow. And
But
you
it's jiggling like crazy. So I posted that on Instagram. And I'm laying on the couch with headphones on because I don't want to hear anything. But I heard it.
It was loud enough that it could go through your headphones that you could hear it.
Yes. Yep.
Wow. Wow. Well, it's my paranormal bucket list keeps growing, and this location is now on that list, of course. I would love to see it and experience sometime. So if we ever make it, so before I let you go, for those who are listening and watching, if they want to learn more about the villa, make a reservation, check you out, where are your social media handles, what's your website, all that stuff.
They can go to 1889 mcinteervilla.com. They can go to Facebook or Instagram. Those are both under the 1889 Mcinteer Villa. And TikTok, I'm still learning it. But it's, I believe, the 1889 Mcinteer Villa also.
Okay.
And I post most of my videos on Instagram or Facebook. Like I said, I'm still learning TikTok. But as many as when I get them, I post, even if it's ridiculous and I scare myself. They're on there.
That's good. Share the wealth of those scares.
Yes, yes, yep.
This is all just so fantastic, and I cannot wait to listen back to our interview and piece together this episode. And remember, if you are watching this interview, make sure you check out the Phantom History audio episode where we take all of this great information and create our creepy newsreel. And if you are ever in Atchison, Kansas, make sure you stop by and visit Steph and the McInteer Villa, built in 1889. Thank you so much, Steph, for taking the time to chat with me.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.